Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another edition of Pause and Pray. I have to be honest with you and say that I'm tempted often these days to want to escape the world and life around me much more than engage in it. Some of that is because of politics. When I go on social media and see the anger and the judgment and the vitriol, and some of it is leveled against people like me and my political beliefs, and it's done so in ways that are incredibly hurtful because these are people I normally consider to be my friends. I think we all, if we could, would choose to escape this pandemic for a while as well. And as a result, when I feel tempted to escape the life that's around me, I do things like go down the YouTube wormhole, or I've been really good lately at watching TikTok videos of dogs, and it's dubbed to the scene in the show The Office of parkour, where these dogs are just ransacking houses, and you hear Michael Scott yelling parkour. If you're familiar with The Office, you get that totally, and I laugh hysterically, and I can watch those videos and completely lose track of time in it. Or I binge watch all sorts of TV shows, and I can say to myself, well, there are less healthy things I could be doing to escape life in the world around me. But in reality, all it's helping me do is cope. And if we're honest, coping isn't really living, it's just surviving. But it's the best I can seem to do right now, is cope. Fortunately, through the lens of faith, that's not the best God can do. God can do so much more. And one of the gifts that Jesus reveals again and again is God's desire and ability not to escape our lives, but to engage them more deeply in transformative ways. We see that in the gospel given to us for the daily office today, which comes from the end of chapter 11 and then into the beginning of chapter 12 of Luke, where Jesus engages the messiness and darkness and brokenness of the world in a confrontation with some religious leaders who are incredibly hypocritical and just bent on trapping Jesus and destroying him. But Jesus doesn't shy away from that, but rather engages that kind of context in life and world more deeply and in a marvelous way. Not in a way that tries to engage in an argument with those religious leaders to convince them that they're wrong and he's right, because that's not going to happen. But rather, Jesus turns to the crowds around him and engages life more deeply by revealing to them that in the midst of a contentious and divided world, they have more value than they could ever imagine. They are loved beyond measure, that indeed every single hair on their head is counted. And that's the gift of God that Jesus reveals again and again. That doesn't step back from a broken and divided and contentious and chaotic world, but rather continues to engage it more deeply in ways that can truly transform. And what a gift that is to pause and pray about today. When we find ourselves tempted to escape life in the brokenness around us or even within us, to pause and pray about the ways in which we've experienced God not escaping, but engaging our lives more deeply. Not in a way that seeks to one-up or seek revenge, because that's not love, but in a way that truly seeks to transform. Don't we experience that kind of love in foster parents who love with a patience to the point of exhaustion and respond to a child who might have all sorts of trauma in their life with a gentleness, the only thing that can support, sustain, and transform? Or in countless organizations at work in our midst that are stepping into the chaos of poverty and not just trying to alleviate it temporarily, but working for real systemic change in our midst. Or maybe we experience it ourselves in those people that don't run from our chaos, but dare to step into it all with us and engage it with us in love and support. And in all of that, we find ourselves getting a glimpse of the kingdom and how it works, and finding the grace to become instruments of that same gift, the only thing that can transform this broken and messy world. God's peace and blessings to you all.